Now, Republicans want you to buy into the Russian conspiracy theory. More global warming profiteering for Al Gore. And Patreon may not be the greatest. We have some soul searching to do. That all next on The Michael Newman Show.
Access denied.
I did not go.
Don't tase me, bro. No. Don't tase me. No.
What difference at this point does it make?
I feel terrible.
How is that okay?
I know words. I have the best words.
I am acting here.
I'm melting!
I've got a lot of things on my plate.
This isn't food!
This is garbage.
Shut up. Because I think that's what you are entitled to.
Now you see that evil will always triumph because good is dumb.
This is not funny.
Welcome to the Michael Newman Show, everybody. Please go to the website, michaelnewmanproductions.com. That is your link to me. That is a link to all the product that I put together, and it's a link to, how to contact me. Just click the contact link, and you can also do some things like check out what we talk about on the show. I have all the links to the stories that we talk about in the blog section there, and you can follow me. My Twitter is Newmaniac1. You can check out my Facebook and my YouTube there as well. The services link to show you what I can do for you in your business, and most importantly, support the show. Support the show just takes you to a page that tells you about Patreon, and then you go to the Patreon page and you pay me money. That's how that works. And you can keep the show going for as little as $1 a month. And later on, the last story in the podcast today, we'll talk about Patreon because they're going after conservatives, and I don't know if we're going to be able to stay on Patreon or not, but we will find out. So, what is happening in a world of politics? Yeah, Jared Kushner details a Russia meeting and denies collusion with president's son-in-law. An advisor spoke with ambassador at an event in Washington. The only reason this stuff is still in the news is because effectively the left and the Democrats have made any contact with Russia, no matter what it is, an illegal overt act, right? In the minds of people, you talk to Russia? Oh, why would you do that? You're a traitor. Which is not true at all. As a matter of fact, people in government, people at all realms of government have contact with other heads of state and other people in other countries quite often. As a matter of fact, if you're a business person like Donald Trump, you probably have had dealings internationally with either people that are from Russia, people that have money in Russia, people that do business in Russia, or Russian government leaders. And the idea that they've created this conspiracy theory so fully that any contact with a Russian person is proof positive of conspiracy. So basically admitted, yeah, there was a meeting, but it was short and we shook hands and it's nothing, which is what most meetings are. As a matter of fact, we still haven't got to the point where they're explaining to us what criminal act took place. No criminal act has taken place and no collusion happened and nothing is there, yet no one will drop it. And the interesting part about it is now the Republicans are jumping on the bandwagon, especially the establishment Republicans like the Bushes. Former Florida Governor Jeb Bush received significant criticism from pro-Trump conservatives on Saturday and Sunday after Bush suggested Republicans haven't been critical enough of Trump's administration's outrageous Russia-related connections and actions.
If your opponent does things that your head explodes on and you get really upset about, if Barack Obama did something as it related to Russia and you get you say this is outrageous, you should, all this stuff, then when your guy does the same thing, have the same passion to be critical.
He would have much rather had Hillary Clinton as president of the United States. Look, this is what that class of people do. They sell political influence. That's how they stay around. That's how their job is to control you. And that's how they see it. Their place is to control you. That's how they see it because they're above and better than you. And their job, their vocation is to have authority over you, the authority of a gun over you. If you don't think George Bush or Jeb Bush will put a gun to your head to make you do what they want you to do, you're wrong because that's that group of people. Look, most of us do not understand the superiority that people that are born into money over an extreme period of time, and by the way, have an extreme amount of political authority and have for quite a while, we have no idea the sense of entitlement over your life that they have, and how dare you disagree with them? How dare one of the serfs like Donald Trump beat him in an election? And that's the sort of response you're getting. Look, you cannot trust the Republican Party. You cannot trust the elites in the Republican Party, least of all. It's time to back away from them because they're not helping out your life. And of course, with this whole Russia conspiracy theory, it continues to get pushed by the Conspiracy News Network, or how about Conspiracy Now Network? Yeah. Conspiracy Now Network, CNN, that's pretty good because it seems like the conspiracy is today and now and new every day because they're always adding something new to it. Russia hacked the election, asserted CNN's Jake Tapper on Sunday during his State of the Union show. And now, granted, what he's doing here is just following a set of bullet points that he was told to say. Okay, this is a marketing maneuver to say Russia hacked the election. And that was the marketing maneuver since the very beginning of this. When we started hearing about the Russia story, that line, Russia hacked the election, for the purposes were to make it easy and to make it solidified in people's mind that something happened didn't actually happen, right? And then when they go in to talk about it, they're not talking about the Russians changing votes or anything like that, but they tagline it, they headline it, Russia hacked the election, so you can't trust the election results. That's the whole point of that. And he's sitting there and he's talking to somebody from the Trump administration, and then it all goes south.
That we're saying something, then we realize that there's only 4 intelligence agencies, and I'm not saying 4 intelligence agencies is insignificant. I'm just saying there's a lot of disinformation out there. You know, somebody said to me yesterday, I won't tell you who, that if the Russians actually hacked this situation and spilled out those emails, you would have never seen it. You would have never had any evidence of them.
Okay, now first, I want you to remember that point that he made, because this is a point that I have made 6 months ago, a long time ago, on my radio show, because it came out in the news, right? It came out a long time ago. There was a big batch of hacking tools that were never classified, by the way, because the intelligence community couldn't classify them, because if they classified them, there would be too much tape to go through and actually use them. So they just sort of kept them secret. Anyway, these hacking tools, the suite of software that the NSA had put together, or the CIA had put together for various means, was released to the public. And one of those pieces of software is designed so that it can implant telltale signs of a specific government going in and hacking your computer. So you, if you're a hacker, could go in, use the software, hack into whomever you want to hack into, and then when somebody does a forensic analysis, they say, oh, the Russians were here, and it throws you off the scent. Now, with that also said, the story has come out on multitudes of different occasions that China has broken into our systems and been there for many, many years, and we only found out about it when they decided to tell us about it. So they were there for 2 or 3 years in certain classified systems, and then after a period of time, I guess they figured that well was tapped out, and they wanted to send a message to the United States government, so they basically sent a signal, sent a telltale sign that says, hey, we're here, and we've been here for a long time. So the concept of we actually knowing for a fact, as if we've got videotape of a Russian hacker sitting punching keys into a keyboard, the idea that we know that is ridiculous. Keep that in your head.
Meaning that they're super confident in their deception skills in hacking. My point is, all of the information isn't on the table yet. But here's what I know about the president.
Wait, Anthony.
Let me finish.
Well, you're making a lot of assertions here. I don't know who this anonymous person is that said that if the Russians had actually done it, we wouldn't have been able to detect it.
Probably your news agency probably said that at one point in time, and you just don't remember.
But it is the unanimous.
How about it was the president, Jake?
Okay, it's the consensus of the intelligence community.
He called me from Air Force One, and he basically said to me, "Hey, you know, this is maybe they did it, maybe they didn't do it, and I'm gonna maintain for you." Hold on a second.
But this is exactly the issue here. We have experts, the U.S. intelligence agencies, unanimous, both Obama appointees and Trump appointees, the director of national intelligence, the head of the National Security Agency, the head of the FBI. I mean, all of these intelligence experts saying Russia hacked the election. They tried to interfere. in the election. No votes were changed, but there was this disinformation and misinformation campaign. President Trump is contradicting it, and you're siding with President Trump.
Right, because there's no reason to not believe President Trump in this instance, my friend. Are we talking about the same intelligence agencies that not only in the United States but worldwide were 100% totally sure about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq? Are we talking about those same intelligence agencies that at one point in time you wouldn't trust with a fish? But now they're the people that we have to listen to. They're the ones with the information. Why is that, Mr. Tapper? Why is it that you've changed all of a sudden? Or is this just a political motivation? Is that it? You're just, well, the intelligence agencies, look at the intelligence. They're intelligent because they're in the intelligence agency. You can't be intelligent. I'm Jake Tapper. So, continuing to push this narrative, Russia's hacked the election. And then he goes on to say, well, they didn't change any votes, but there was a disinformation campaign. Yeah. Okay, whatever. Does that matter? How exactly are you to police another country sending out tweets? What are you going to do? You're going to go to war over it? How are you going to stop that? And by the way, how far would you have to go to stop that? To monitor every tweet? To monitor every piece of news? To monitor every piece of communication between everybody? Is that what you're looking for? Is that the road we want to go down? Because if we end up doing that, if somebody acquiesces and says, hey, we can't allow the Russians anywhere close to our election system again, so we're just going to have to tighten down on that whole freedom of speech thing, is that going to improve our system of government? Is it going to improve our lives here in the country? Yes or no? I say no. Our country will be gone at that point, and people like Jake Tapper will be the reason for it. And strangely enough, I find myself on the side of Jill Stein. Isn't this nice? Jill Stein, the Socialist Green Party candidate in the 2016 presidential election, harshly criticized the Democrat Party leadership on Friday for colluding with media sources to undermine Senator Bernie Sanders' campaign, which absolutely did happen. Proved. Thank you. And against Hillary Clinton, and pushing this quote unquote ludicrous conspiracy theories about Russia. Ludicrous conspiracy theories about Russia. This is coming from Jill Stein. She's like, this whole Russia thing is insane. At least Jill seems like, okay, she's way off base with her politics, and they're very harmful to people. But at least when she looks at politics, she's looking at it as something that needs to be done. She's like, okay, we're not doing this. How do we make this happen? Whatever her socialist ideology is, let's move towards that versus talking about Russia, this conspiracy theory about Russia that was built out of absolutely nothing. Is that going to make this country better? She's saying no. And of course, she's being attacked by the Democrats for it. In a blistering tweet, Stein wrote, unlike the Dems, I didn't sabotage Bernie Sanders in the primaries, then try to cover my tracks with ludicrous Russia conspiracy theories. Which is exactly what happened. That is a factual statement. Then, of course, she gets some tweets. John Cooper, the chairman of the Democratic Coalition, quote, Jill, comma, any truth to the rumor that you're checking prices for one-way flights to countries that don't have extradition treaties with the U.S.? End quote. What does that mean? What does that mean? That sounds frightening. That actually sounds like not I'll stab you in the face type of threat, but certainly a political threat. Meaning if we ever get the power again, we're going to throw you into prison. We will find something. We will throw you into prison for talking down us and our party. We're going to start a political prison. You're going to be the number one person in it. Jill, watch out. That is your modern day Democrat Party. Stein retweeted and went back and said, if Dem elites want to waste their time with conspiracy theories, that's on them. We're busy organizing a grassroots party for the people. Well, doesn't seem like the Republicans are doing absolutely nothing as much as the Democrats are doing absolutely nothing. I think they're about the same. And I really do see, look, if we don't completely abolish Obamacare and don't get a wall and right now, the place that's coming from is the Republican establishment and the Republican Party in totem. If we don't get the things that we want, the Republican Party will not exist. We will just abandon them. And I think there's a bunch of people that want to abandon the Democrat Party as well. And those two parties are going to fracture and fracture and fracture and fracture until they simply don't have the power that they once had. Maybe they'll always have enough power to stay in control. I don't know. But this is an all new world. And if we can keep our freedom of speech, maybe it is possible that we can break these coalitions of oligarchy up in our country and regain some sort of a semblance of democracy and freedom. Trump is frustrated. President Donald Trump is expressing his frustration with federal Republicans, saying that you do very little to protect your president. Well, this is true. They don't. You got the Bushes out there that would just love to put a knife in his back. And basically, they're talking about all the things that the Republicans aren't doing, especially Obamacare, and not taking care of that. And look, it's not a hard deal, okay? It's not a hard deal. If they really wanted to do something, it would have been done already. But the truth is, the Republican Party, the elites of the Republican Party, do not want to get rid of Obamacare because Obamacare is great for their power. It's a sixth of the economy. And they're perfectly fine with moving with the Democrats down the road of socialized medicine. And it's pretty sick and disgusting. And if we don't start breaking up these coalitions of power, we're just going to lose all a semblance of freedom in this country. Now, the Democrats on the other side, you know what? They need a new message. Our problem is with messaging. Yeah, we haven't said it the right way. Democrat leaders believe that they lost the presidential race to Donald Trump, partly because voters don't know what the party stands for. So they're trying to rebrand themselves with a new slogan and a populist new agenda as they look ahead at the 2018 midterms. Yeah, go boys. You know, look how they have their finger on the pulse of the American people. They know that the American people are so stupid that they're going to have to dumb things down so that they understand the Democrats are better than they are. And once they understand the Democrats are so far superior to them in intelligence and cognition, future knowledge of what's going to happen, that they'll just gladly give over their freedoms and sovereignty to this party so they can be taken care of by the wizards of smarts in the Democrat Party. It's called, here's the new slogan, a better deal. A better deal. Isn't that nice? That's 3 words, a better deal. Yeah, I wonder how much they paid for that. They probably paid a marketing firm $2.5 million. We need a new slogan, you see. A new slogan that will work well with the dumb rubes in middle America. You know, the flyover states. We need something that the elites can use and dumb people will understand. How about that? And they came up with, how about a better deal? Yeah, it wasn't even written by like somebody that really worked at the firm. Somebody that worked at the advertising firm was just sitting there, slaving over it, couldn't think of anything. And the janitor walked by and said, how about a better deal? You've got it, by cracky. It's called a better deal, and House and Senate Democrat leaders are rolling it out this week. And they're really pushing this man. And Chuck Schumer actually acknowledged on Sunday that Democrats were partially to blame for the American people not knowing what their party stands for. That's the problem. See, I mean, they're going to keep saying that. Well, you just don't understand. They did that with John Kerry. Remember John Kerry? And he was flipping and flopping, and he didn't know what he was talking about. And he sounded awful. And the response to his flip-flops was, he's not flip-flopping, you see. He's being nuanced. And you're just not smart enough. See, he speaks so far above us, we couldn't possibly understand. So we just have to accept him at his word that he knows what he's talking about, because there's no possible way that just the people in the country could understand John Kerry because he's so far above us. Do you remember that? During the whole flip-flop thing when he was trying to run for president? Then he got swift-boated. Swift-boaters. I'm just going to, you know what? I'm just going to get my Herman Munster outfit and go home. That would have been nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer was on the Sunday shows. He was on ABC with Snuffleupagus. And he says that the Democrats are certainly putting single payer on the table.
Then we're going to look at broader things. Single payer is one of them.
So that is on the table?
Medicare, well, sure, many things are on the table. Medicare for people above 55 is on the table. A buy-in to Medicare is on the table. Buy-in to Medicaid is on the table. On the broader issues, we will start examining them once we stabilize the system.
Once we get Obamacare fixed, then we'll start looking at some other things to enhance the system and make it even better. Look. This is what's going on. The Democrats are going to their old standby, and that's we're going to buy as many votes as we can. What do you mean by buy votes? Well, that means using their power to create government programs to make it look as if they're giving people free money. That is how the Democrats get votes. Schumer's comments came as Democrats prepared to unroll a new economic agenda, a better deal. The top-sided Democrat emphasized that his party is going to be fresh and brash on economic issues.
Week after week, month after month, we're going to roll out specific pieces here that are quite different than the Democratic Party you heard in the past. We were too cautious. We were too namby-pamby.
Okay, this is very important for you to recognize, okay? The Democrats have decided, they've decided which way they're going to go. It's not more middle of the road. It's not moving back towards the center. They are going to go radical left on absolutely everything when it comes to spending, when it comes to social issues. Everything that you can do that is as far left as possible is where they're going to go. Be prepared for that.
This is sharp, bold, and will appeal to both the old Obama coalition, let's say the young lady who's just getting out of college, and the Democratic voters who deserted us for Trump, the blue-collar worker.
Some may wonder.
Economics, George, is our strength.
Strength. We're going to give money to everybody. That's how we're going to do it. When he says economics is your strength, what the hell do you mean by that? It must be politically. Giving away money is your strength. That's what the Democrat Party is known for. I mean, certainly, they have all these programs and it's a bunch of free stuff for these people, and we're going to go after the rich guy, and that is their party. Does it help out anybody? See, here's the problem, Mr. Schumer. If you were so strong on economics, you would recognize that whenever you talk about minimum wage, whenever you force a minimum wage, a hike, or even just any minimum wage into an economic system, you deprive people of work. People lose jobs, people lose everything because of your economic standards, because of your economic initiatives and ideas. You hurt people on a real level. But you don't care about that. All you want to do is talk about, oh, we're taking care of you. Yeah, you're taking care of people like a mafia hitman takes care of people. That's what you're going to do to the economy. That's what you have done to the economy. As a matter of fact, during the Obama administration, what was the only sector of the economy that was doing okay, that kept the United States afloat during that period of time? Which sector was it? Fracking, oil. Fracking, the thing that the Democrats absolutely hate and would destroy and end tomorrow if they could, is the one thing that has kept the United States economically viable through the recession. And now they're just going to take over. Once they do, they start giving away everything. Look, everybody's. I wouldn't be surprised if they wouldn't, if they don't come up with a minimum minimum yearly income for people. That wouldn't surprise me. Look, everybody in the we're such a rich country. Everybody in the United States is going to get free college. They're going to get free health care, and everybody's going to have a minimum stipend to live on. That's right. No, it's going to be poor anymore. It's going to be great. And then they'll come in. It's going to be an economic boost. Oh, the boon to the economy, as with people with all this new fresh money are going to go out and spend it, and companies just hand over fist, and money's going to be coming in, and tax dollars and the whole thing. Even though every economic theory that they espouse and want to push in the United States has been tried across the world, and it continues to fail. Socialism has been tried many, many times, and it continues to fail, yet they still want to push it. It's ridiculous. And as far as going left goes, we have not seen the end of how far the left will go to be leftists. We have not seen the end, my friends. Get this. In Minnesota, the Minnesota Department of Education toolkit, okay, call it a toolkit. It's kind of a rule book or just instructions on how you should deal with things. Instructs schools to isolate students who are concerned about sharing bathrooms and locker rooms with transgendered students. Among the many ways, the toolkit says schools can create a welcoming environment for transgendered students from kindergarten through 12th grade is to provide transgender students with access to bathrooms and locker rooms that conform with their students' gender identity and to segregate students who are concerned with privacy. Segregate the students who are concerned with privacy. So, when the little boy decides, I'm going to be a girl today, and he goes to shower with the other little girls in his class with an erection, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? He says he's a girl. He's a girl with a boner. He's got a girl boner. Look at that. Wow. Oh, what, you don't like showering with this transgender girl with a boner? Okay, we're going to take you out of class because you're the weird one. This sort of thing is the reason why schools should not be funded, period, by the state, ever, for any reason. Why is it that parents and just taxpayers like me are forced with a gun to pay for little girls to be sexually assaulted at school, and then told that there's something wrong with them for it? Any idea? Any idea why that's okay? Because the leftist religion says it's okay. Speaking of the leftist religion and part of curriculum in schools, Al Gore is back. He's got a new movie. It's an inconvenient sequel. And I guess this was during one of the premieres of the sequel. He's asked the question, you made a prediction in your last movie that in 10 years from that time, we would reach the point of no return. Are you changing that prediction?
First of all, we've seen a lot of progress since the first movie came out. We have the Paris Agreement now. The cost of renewable energy has come down so quickly that people are switching over. Unfortunately, some elements of the Earth system have crossed a point of no return. A big chunk of the West Arctic ice sheet, for example, makes a considerable amount of sea level rise inevitable in the future. But we still have the ability to stop short of other points of no return. And we now have the solutions available to really solve this crisis. We need the political will, but political will is a renewable resource.
Okay, you say points of no return to put pressure on people saying, hey, if we don't do it now, we're going to be dead, and in 5 days, it's all over. It's the same thing when somebody comes to your house to sell you new windows, right? The guy that walks into your house to sell you the windows, whatever company it is, he says, I got this great deal for you, but you know what? My boss, this is the last day. You got to get it from me. You got to get it today. And I really want to save you. And it looks like a big deal. It's like 50% savings or 70% savings. And they're like, oh, no, see, this is the price. But if tomorrow it's going to be 75% more. I mean, do you really want to wait and lose all that money? Or do you want new windows at this great price? It's what they do. And that's what they're doing with global warming. They're saying, oh, man, we got to do something now because, you know, in 10 days, in 10 years, whatever it is, we could do whatever we want and it's not going to solve the problem. But, man, if we don't, got to act today, man. You got to give over your sovereignty, give it over all your money, just become a serf and join us in the socialist utopia. Join us in our religion, or, you know what, tomorrow it's going to be too late. Got to make the decision right now. Just make a snap decision. Just do what I want you to do right now. Come on. That is how they push this stuff. And of course, none of the stuff that he's talked about has happened. As a matter of fact, the pause still continues. Throughout that period of time, it's been far more than 10 years. Throughout that period of time, there was no global warming. And so they had to come up with fake numbers and fake stuff, and they had to change data so that it looked like the pause didn't happen. And now there's a new paper out that says, you know what? Sorry, we caught you in another lie, just like the East Anglia emails that came out. There's a piece here in the Blaze. Justin Haskins put it together. It's just 6 little arguments against the climate alarmists out there. And they're good arguments, and I agree with 100% of them. You're absolutely right. There's stuff that I've screamed over and over and over again. Unfortunately, none of these arguments are going to work because it's not about science. It is their religion. So we have to get to the point where we just simply say, no, I am not buying into your religion. And if you push it on me using the force of government, then guess what? We're going to have to go to war. Because I don't have to believe the way you believe, and you can't force me to tithe at your church. Number 1, climate alarmist temperature predicting track record is abysmal. These are important things to recognize, too, because when they're asking you to believe in the science, you're a science denier. They're not. They're asking you to believe in scientists, the human beings that are providing this information for you, whether or not they're right or not. And the track record of these people has been abysmal in almost every measure since day one. Climate alarmist temperature predicting track record is abysmal. Number 2, climate alarmist predictions about extreme weather and other crises have also failed to materialize. Remember when they were telling us, we're going to hurricanes, it's hurricanes, and they'll start in your ass, and they'll just start blowing. Oh my God, and it'll shoot you to the moon, and you can't breathe on the moon. There's no atmosphere at all up there. Then you'll really know what global warming is like, because it's really hot in the day and call it So there's that. And there are many unexplainable problems with the theory of rising carbon dioxide levels having caused global temperatures to increase. This is actually a pretty big one. And Bill Nye gets by with it by saying, well, it's the increase. It's a rate of increase. You don't know that, Mr. Nye. As a matter of fact, the rate of increase is infinitesimal as compared to the lifespan of this planet. Do you know, what are we at? Like 400 parts per million? Is that what it is? 400 parts per million of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. You know, there has been points in time where the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and there was life on the planet, and it was flourishing. It was huge life with the big plants. Was between 18 and 4,000 parts per million. Amazing. And humans weren't even here yet. They hadn't even created a car or an iPhone or nothing. And yet, carbon dioxide was much, much higher. Yet there was still life. Meaning, their worst case scenarios are impossible. It just can't happen. If in the worst case scenario, if the ice caps melted, you know what the worst case of that is? Means New York, possibly LA, will be underwater. Big loss there. Maybe it'll stop smelling like piss. And number 2, we'll have far more arable soil. The areas of the earth that will be able to maintain life and robust life will increase exponentially. It'll be huge. As a matter of fact, if the global ice caps melted, it's a very good chance that we could have far more people on this planet and sustain them. That's the truth, but not a truth that they want you to hear. It's not clear that the most widely used climate data is accurate. Once again, going back to the numbers pushed by NOAA and NASA and all those different agencies, and even the agencies in Great Britain that have been proven to be inaccurate and wrong. And it's not inaccurate and wrong. They were lied about. Okay, they changed the data specifically to make an outcome that favored their argumentation. That's what they did. And if you have to change the data, the empirical data, that means you are lying. And it is not science when you are lying. Even humans, this is number 5, are creating a slightly warmer climate. Even if humans are creating a slightly warmer climate, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Just sort of describe that to you. Technically, we're still in an ice age, okay? We're still in an ice age. The end of an ice age is marked when there's no more ice on the planet, when there are no polar ice caps. Okay? That's the end of an ice age. We are still in an ice age. And I know it's unpopular, and I know for a fact that people like Al Gore don't want to admit this, but the ice caps on the Earth are growing. They never have been shrinking. They are growing and getting larger and more robust. And they're probably going to grow significantly more over the next decade or so as we're going into a solar minimum. Hopefully, we can belt out some more carbon dioxide and save our own lives. Just saying. All right. One last story here. And the only reason I bring it to you is it kind of affects you and me and the thing that we do here. I support this show via Patreon, right? It's a sort of a social media website that you post your stuff to, and people can go to that website, and if they enjoy what you provide, then they can support you sort of out of the kindness of their heart for certain monetary levels that are on the site. You can support my show for as little as $1 a month. Most people do $5 or above. And that's what it's there for, right? And then there's special incentives and things, and that's how it's supposed to work. As a matter of fact, my incentives are probably going to change here in the future. But the problem is there's a lot of artists on it, and this was created for artists, you see, and the type of people that have a certain sensibility. And that sensibility in mine are not the same, right? And liberals are perfectly fine shutting people down. Patreon, an online fundraising forum, shut down Laura Southern's fundraising profile on Friday, describing her activities as likely to cause loss of life. Southern did a video about it. I'll give you the audio.
Hey everyone. Okay, so as you may know by now, Patreon has kicked me off of their website, essentially eviscerating the majority of my income. You may be wondering, what could their reason for doing this be? Well, let me just read you their email. Hi Lauren, my name is Max, and I am a member of the Trust and Safety team at Patreon. Here at Patreon, we believe in freedom of speech. We are creating a platform that empowers creators to share and debate ideas. When ideas cross into action, though, we sometimes must take a closer look at what our creators are doing with the funds they earn through Patreon. It appears that you are currently raising funds in order to take part in activities that are likely to cause loss of life. We have therefore decided to remove your page from Patreon and paid out your final balance of $95 to you. We understand that this will come as a disappointment. Please know that we have come to this decision after a long review process and will not consider an appeal. Thank you for your understanding. Raising funds in order to take part in activities that are likely to cause loss of life. That's a pretty freaking incredible claim there, Patreon. That should take some pretty incredible evidence behind it, shouldn't it? But what did you provide as evidence? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely freaking nothing. Now, I assume that you guys are talking about the Defend Europe mission, a mission that, firstly, I am not actually taking part in. I was planning on joining them on the boat initially just to record everything, something that hundreds of journalists and reporters from all across the political spectrum were begging to do, but I decided a professional crew member with more experience should take my place instead. Secondly, not a dime that I got from Patreon went towards the Defend Europe mission. All of the money I get from Patreon goes towards my initial stated goals, which were entirely within the Patreon guidelines. And thirdly, and probably the most important point, even if I were taking part in the Defend Europe mission and I were raising money for it through Patreon, it is not a mission with any intentions to cause the loss of life. In fact, that is quite a slanderous statement because the intentions are the exact opposite. For those who don't know, Defend Europe is a mission which has three main goals. 1, fact-finding to expose the alleged collusion between NGOs and human traffickers. 2, to sink empty hazardous rafts so they can't be used by traffickers again, a task that NGOs should be doing. And 3, to answer distress calls and provide aid to migrants who need it and call the closest port for aid instead of transporting people to the furthest point in Europe, which the Italian government are asking the NGOs to stop doing. The mission is literally working entirely within maritime laws, and if any of that changed, and if their mission was to harm people or to ignore people in distress, I would disavow it immediately. The reality is, though, that Patreon has no interest in any of that. They have no interest in the truth. They've already stated that their shutdown of my account is not up for review, and that they're not doing this for ideological reasons, even though it is quite clear that that's exactly what they're doing.
Okay, so it is Patreon deciding that here's a person that does quite well, and we are supporting them. We do not want to support them because their ideology is different than ours, and we have the authority, the power to shut them down. And we're going to use that authority, and we're not going to talk to them about it. We're just going to do it because that's who we are. That's what the left does. It's not like they could go to her and have a debate about something. None of that. Why? Why? The left has given up debating a long time ago because their ideas are that of a tyranny. And when people hear their ideas out loud, they recognize, oh, look, you're going to take my sovereignty, my life away. And they lose. So let's just forget the whole debating thing and we'll just use a gun against you. That's what the left does. And the question is, I guess, for you and me and everyone else out there that happens to pay attention to this, should I stay on Patreon? I mean, this might be a good time to get out. I have 4 patrons at this point because most, people hate me. I would like to have more patrons. It'd be great. It'd be great. But, yeah, so I've got 4 now, and it wouldn't hurt me all that much to just close my account and do everything via my website and put a PayPal on my website. It would be real simple. Just do a PayPal on the website, and you can charge monthly or it can charge yearly or whatever it is, and you can just decide how much you want to pay. And that may be the way we go. I've heard some bad things about PayPal as far as the way you get billed out, and they can shut you down too, and they'll just keep your money and stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have to look into it a little bit more. Or should I just stay with Patreon until they kick me off? Should we do that? I don't know. I'd like to hear from you to see what you think of the way it's going. That is it for the Michael Newman Show. Please go to the website, michaelnewmanproductions.com. You can get the links to today's show. You can contact me via email, Twitter, Newmaniac1, Facebook, YouTube. Check out the services link, and of course, support the show on Patreon, maybe. Hey, it's not going to hurt you. All it would do is stop paying me, and then I'd do a podcast, and you'd hear, oh, I'm not being paid anymore. Then you could shut it down and move on to another sort of section. So another option. So I don't know. We'll think about it. We'll hear from you. But while you're at it, do whatever you can to help me out and keep this show going because it's getting more and more difficult every day. Have a great afternoon.
Wow, see ya.